Vietnam, the adventure that stayed with me. Vietnam's coastline stretches about 3,000 kilometers, which is more than the distance between London and Istanbul. From misty highlands in the north to bustling cities in the south, it stretches like a gentle green ribbon. You can see worlds that feel quite distinct but are part of the same country. I thought I knew what to anticipate from my first trip to Vietnam: motorcycles, paddy fields, and street food. However, what I discovered was a place that seemed both new and old. A place where incense smoke blends with the aroma of grilled fish. This episode takes you through my 2-week solo trip across Vietnam, beginning in the ancient quarter of Hanoi, cruising through the emerald waters of Ha Long Bay, walking the lantern-lit streets of Hoi An, and finishing in Ho Chi Minh City, where the pulse of the past and future beat in tandem. One story, one flavor, one step at a time, let's explore Vietnam. When my plane touched down in Hanoi, the air felt alive. Heavy. Full of smells I didn't recognize: grilled meat, exhaust, something sweet and smoky that made my stomach growl. I grabbed a taxi to the ancient quarter. My driver smiled but spoke almost no English, so we talked with gestures and laughter. The ride was like a game. Scooters zipped past us in every direction, horns blaring in a rhythm that somehow worked. It looked like chaos but felt like music. My hotel was hidden down a narrow lane lined with shops selling silk, sandals, and steaming bowls of noodles. Even at midnight, the street buzzed. A family sat outside eating, kids ran barefoot, someone strummed a guitar. It was my first night, and already Vietnam felt awake. For 3 days, I wandered the ancient quarter mostly on foot. The streets twisted and curved like a maze that didn't want to be solved. One street sold shoes, another only silver, another nothing but coffee. I'd stop for iced Vietnamese coffee, strong, sweet, perfect for the heat, and just to watch. I've been to busy markets before, like the ones in Istanbul or Marrakesh, but Hanoi's felt different. Nobody shouted. Nobody pushed. People just went about their day, calm but quick, letting you join if you wanted. On my second morning, I went to Ho Chi Minh's mausoleum. The line moved slowly and quietly. Guards stood straight as statues. Inside, the light was dim, the air cool. Ho Chi Minh lay there, still and pale. For a moment, I forgot to breathe. Everyone around me bowed their heads. It wasn't about politics, it was about respect. That night, I saw a water puppet show, in old Vietnamese art form. The stage was a pool, and wooden puppets danced on the water, splashing and spinning to the sound of live drums. Kids laughed, adults smiled. I had no idea what the words meant, but somehow, I understood everything. Dinner after was at Cha Car Lavong, a restaurant so famous it only serves one dish: grilled fish with dill, turmeric, and noodles. The waiter cooked it right at my table, adding peanuts and herbs with a proud smile. It was smoky, spicy, crunchy, a mix of everything Vietnam seems to be. The bill came to about 200,000 dong, or $8, but it felt like a feast. The next morning, I woke before dawn to catch a bus to Ha Long Bay. The ride took about 3.5 hours, cost around $15, and felt like leaving one world for another. The air grew saltier and cooler. When the bay appeared, it was like stepping into a dream. Emerald water stretched out to the horizon, dotted with limestone cliffs that rose like the backs of sleeping dragons. I stood on the deck of the boat, camera in hand, but after a while, I stopped taking pictures. I just wanted to see it. We stopped at Sung Sat Cave, Surprise Cave, which really was surprising, huge and glowing with colored lights that made the rocks shimmer. Later, we sat on the deck drinking iced coffee, watching the sun slip behind the cliffs. It reminded me a little of El Nido in the Philippines, but Ha Long was quieter, calmer. When I returned to Hanoi, I took things slow. I rode a cyclo, one of those bicycle rickshaws, to the Temple of Literature, about 3 kilometers from the old quarter. It cost maybe 100,000 dong, around $4, for the round trip. The driver pedaled calmly through traffic as if time moved differently for him. The temple felt peaceful. Old stone gates, lotus ponds, and the names of ancient scholars carved into tall steels. It was strange. Just a few minutes away, the city roared. But here, you could hear the wind. That evening, sitting on a small balcony with a bowl of pho, I realized something. Hanoi doesn't try to impress you. It just lets you belong. After 5 days, I caught a short flight to Da Nang, then a taxi to Hoi An, about 30 kilometers away. The driver smiled, called me my friend, and pointed at rice fields glowing green in the sun. The ride cost 300,000 dong, around $12, and every minute felt like a painting. Hoi An took my breath away. Yellow buildings with wooden shutters, lanterns swaying in the breeze, rivers reflecting light like melted gold. At night, when the lanterns were lit, it was magic. I remember thinking if peace had a color, it would be Hoi An at night. I rented a bicycle for $2 a day and rode through rice paddies where water buffaloes stood knee-deep and farmers waved at me. The air smelled of wet earth and lemongrass. I stopped at a roadside cafe and had a glass of passion fruit juice so cold it made my teeth ache. The old town was made for walking. Tailors called out softly, showing fabric. The river glowed with floating candles. I bought a handmade leather notebook for 100,000 dong, just $4, and wrote my first travel notes there. On my last afternoon, I cycled to An Bang Beach, about 5 kilometers away, a gentle 20-minute ride. The beach was wide, quiet, and blue. Lunch was grilled shrimp and fresh coconut, costing maybe $6, but the view made it priceless. Then came Ho Chi Minh City, fast, loud, and alive. When I landed, the city buzzed like electricity. It reminded me of Bangkok, but rougher, more real. I spent 5 days here, and every day was different. One morning I visited the War Remnants Museum, sobering, heavy, and necessary. Another day, I wandered Ben Thanh Market, tasting everything I could find: crispy pancakes, steaming pho, iced coffee strong enough to wake the dead. The Cu Chi tunnels were a 2-hour bus ride away, about 70 kilometers and $16 for the tour. Crawling through them was intense. Hot, dark, tight spaces that once sheltered people for years. When I came out, covered in dust, I felt a quiet respect I can't explain. On my final night, I found a rooftop bar near Bui Vien Street. Below me, scooters weaved through the lights. Music floated up from somewhere. I sat there for hours, just watching. Vietnam was still moving, still alive, even as my journey was ending. When I finally packed my bag, I felt something new. Vietnam hadn't just been a place I visited. It was a place that had visited me. I took more than just memories with me when I left Vietnam. I left with emotions that lingered, sounds, scents, and memories that I can still relive. The scooters buzzing. The flavor of grilled fish. The silent faces awaiting Ho Chi Minh's appearance. Though I've traveled to numerous countries, Vietnam seemed like a mirror. It made me realize how lovely ordinary life can be when it is truly experienced. Go slowly if you arrive here. Don't hurry the meals or the streets. Allow it to absorb. Vietnam is like a narrative spoken particularly for you. It doesn't appear completely at once.